We now have joining us virtually Senator Sinema.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. You know, housing is one of the biggest issues I hear about in Arizona. Whether you're trying to rent or trying to own, the cost of housing in Arizona is outpacing wages, not just in Phoenix, but also in Tucson, Flagstaff, and throughout the Verde Valley. The cost of housing in Arizona has a direct nexus with the rise in homelessness in our state. That's why in February, I convened 2 events with leading housing stakeholders in Phoenix, one around homelessness and services and another around housing supply and affordability. First, we toured UMOM, the largest shelter services provider in Maricopa County, and saw how their innovative model provides childcare and workforce development alongside shelter services, ensuring that the tools to get back on your feet are accessible to the people that need them. Then we brought together industry stakeholders and affordability advocates to assess the market in Arizona, identify supply chain and regulatory challenges that are holding capital investment back, and craft solutions to these challenges. At each of these events, I was honored to be joined by Joan Service, a deeply respected Arizona leader on housing in Arizona, who was recently appointed by Governor Hobbs to lead the Arizona Department of Housing. What I learned at these events reaffirms my understanding of the problem. We have a supply shortage in Arizona, and in order to make housing more affordable and accessible for Arizonans, we need to build more of it. Specifically, we need to build the types of homes and apartments that everyday Arizona families can afford. And that's why I've co-sponsored legislation to expand the low-income housing tax credit, and why I support additional investment in the Housing Trust Fund and the Home Investment Partnerships Program. According to the Arizona Department of Housing, the state needs about 250,000 more affordable units to meet demand. To improve housing affordability in a genuinely sustainable manner, we need solutions outside of merely increasing demand-side subsidies without increasing the overall supply of available housing. In October of 2022, members of my staff toured Prescott's Fort Whipple alongside veterans groups, affordable housing developers, VA officials, and saw the need for affordable permanent housing in Arizona for veterans experiencing homelessness. Following that tour and discussion with local leaders, I raised the issue directly with HUD, and in HUD encouraged the department to award the 84 HUD VASH vouchers needed to move forward with Fort Whipple's Veterans Housing Project. I've heard from Arizonans with rental assistance vouchers that they've been unable to use them, partially because of the lack of available rental units. However, project-based vouchers are a tool on the other side of the ledger that can help spur the development of affordable housing units like Fort Whipple. Can both of you speak to ways that Congress can strengthen project-based subsidy programs in order to increase the creation of affordable housing units? And specifically, what are some recommendations outside of just increasing funding or the overall number of project-based vouchers?
Senator, this is Richard Cho. I can respond to that question. Thank you for raising that. I agree 100% that project-based vouchers is an incredible tool to be able to add not only housing access, but also housing units. We've talked about how it is difficult to be able to find housing even when people do have vouchers. That said, communities are finding housing, but it is a lot of work to try to find landlords and vacant units. Project-based vouchers is an incredible tool. One of the things that could be done is to review the statutory cap that exists on our voucher programs, where public housing agencies that administer those vouchers can only project-base up to 30% of their housing vouchers. Many communities have already reached their cap on project-basing vouchers, and some of those communities are the very ones that are seeing the lowest vacancy rates, and so actually need more project-based voucher assistance. So a simple thing that can be done, again, without new resources, is just providing waivers and flexibility to allow communities to go above that 30% project-based cap.
And Senator, this is Jeff Olivet. I'll just add to this. I was in Arizona recently, and I would agree with you that your state is lucky to have Joan Service running the housing department. I met recently with Governor Hobbs and much of her new cabinet, as well as with the mayors of Phoenix and Tucson and Nogales as we toured around rural areas as well as the cities. And I know the affordable housing crisis that you're facing in your state. And we've seen homelessness in Phoenix increase in, I guess, Maricopa County by almost 30% in the last couple of years. So the situation is certainly dire. I was also very heartened to hear Mayor Romero in Phoenix talk about using containers to create housing. That's an approach that we've seen used to great success in Los Angeles and other places. So I think these kind of creative models, it's also important to note that the balance of state in Arizona is one of the recipients of HUD's recent rural and unsheltered notice of funding. And so it'll be really interesting to see how that funding plays out in rural areas as well.
Thank you. Chair, I have a